All right, I call to order the Hancock County Commissioners meeting for August 6th, 2024.
I move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Do we have any public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on. Approval of the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes of the July 23rd Commissioner Special Meeting as presented.
Second motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All right. Miller.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning, Miller.
Do you have anything to add to the report?
No, sir.
I move to accept and file the UT monthly report as presented.
Second motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All right. Thank you, Miller.
Thank you, Commissioners.
All right, Leroy,
Good morning.
add to your report right now?
No, I'm good.
Move to accept and file an airport monthly report as presented.
Second motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
So the next one is the contract with Jacobs, now that we have the grant approved for the design, permitting, and bid support for the snow removal and equipment building.
These are not simple contracts, but everything looks to be in order.
Yeah, this is the normal procedure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna move to approve a contract with Jacob Engineering for project management, design, permitting, and bid support for phase 1 of the snow removal equipment SRE building project in the amount of $290,773 and authorize the chair to sign.
Second motion. Discussion? In the grand vision of this, when do we really think the project will be done?
So this is phase 1. The plan would be next year to bid and build. So 25, 26 era, I would say.
Yeah.
And that should have us a building, and the chicken and the egg thing, and then we can move forward on acquiring a replacement runway sweeper.
All right.
All right, so the next one.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
This is all part of the easement acquisition process. They're getting down to the wire where they're getting ready to submit offers to the landowners. So part of the process, in accordance with the Uniform Relocation Assistance and Realty Acquisition Policy of 1970, they have to have this just cause approval, which is somebody that can sign a letter to the landowners for the price, we'll call it the purchase price. So in Reader's Digest version, what I got out of the just compensation really means it's fair market value. And fair market value would be the appraised amount. So you have to come in with at least a fair market value price for these parcels. And what they need somebody to be able to sign that approval to go to the landowner with. Now, all that being said, I'm really not sure how we want to handle it, whether we should. My gut feeling is it should come back to the board for the approval, because that's going to be, you're the governing body. But they want a person to be responsible for those. So again, I'm not really. I don't think I think they should come to me. I'll review them, and then we'll forward them to Michael, and then maybe come to the full board for approvals before they go to the landowner.
It doesn't seem to be, if we select the chairman today as the approval process, still doesn't mean it can't come back to us for.
That's the way I see it. You know, I think it should, personally, I think it should come back to the board. Just so it's all, you know, clean and fair and everybody knows about it. But I think possibly Michael should be the person to sign it, but that's just my opinion.
To me, it feels like we're not ready for action on this, that we need to table this to a future meeting. Does that cause a problem?
It's just will delay it a little bit. They got 3 parcels that they're gonna be ready to put, together in the next week or 2, for offers.
Well, Michael, do you have any, doesn't feel like we know who to, exactly what they're doing.
Let's talk about it and decide.
I mean, I think at this point, obviously, yeah, it's really up to you guys who you want to designate as that official. And since it involves a purchase or something, then presumably I would assume it would be somebody on board, probably the chair, but.
So it seems like it's gonna come to us for a vote on the purchase. At the same time, the person we designate can sign it, which is ideally the chair.
Agreed.
I think a motion's in order to designate the chair as the signing
Of what?
the just compensation signing.
Basically, it's a letter to the landowner. This is what we're offering you for your easement above your property. And this is, you know, the fair market value is calculated by 2 different appraisers. So when it's completed, you know, one appraiser does it and then another appraiser reviews it. So it, you know, it should be a pretty fair, accurate number.
The application easement project, just compensation. Signed by the chairs.
Bill's, I'd second Bill's motion there, if I
didn't really craft it as a motion. Did you type it out?
Well, the other problem I have is signing a letter, but we don't know what the letter says yet.
Well, we don't have to sign it if we don't like the looks of it when we get it.
The basics is just we need to approve a person to sign these letters. It's kind of a procedural thing.
The designated chair to sign the just compensation approval.
So, move to approve the designation of the chair, sign the just compensation approval letter. Is that letters?
Yeah, because each property owner will be getting letters when the time comes.
So that's my motion.
And second the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All right.
All right, thanks.
Anything else?
Nope,
All right. Have a good day.
you too.
Report.
Doesn't sound like anybody's here, so I'm gonna move to accept the file the EMA and monthly report is presented.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. District Attorney.
Bob Kamat, he is requesting approval to change the effective start date of Shell Coatings. Shell Coatings start date from Saturday, August 17th to Saturday, August 10th. To facilitate a brief training period with myself, obviously. With that being said, he's also, my original start date was, end date was the 9th, which would be this Friday. So he's asking if we can extend that to the 14th so that I can be with her for about 3 days, directing all the accounts and whatnot.
Yeah, so I'm gonna move to change the effective start date of new hire administrative assistant Michelle Cody from Saturday, August 17th to Saturday, August 10th as requested.
Second motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Move to allow the current administrative assistant, Mr. Everson, to extend until the end of the day on August 14th as requested.
Second motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Michael, do you know that does the policy require us to set the start and end dates? Yeah.
Well, I don't remember this, anything being specifically
I mean,
written out.
here's a case where we're required by statute to approve employment. And so they have to bring the employment of a new employee to us, an applicant to us for approval. But if the policy doesn't require us to stipulate a date certain for the starting date, I think it might be more prudent if we considered something on or about in our motion. Because it could be that a new applicant, for example, once that person was approved, goes to their employer, says, I'm gonna give you 2 weeks notice, and the employer says, don't bother, you're free to leave right now. And so the employee, the applicant comes back to the new employer and says, geez, I can start Monday. Well, I'd like to have you start Monday, I gotta go back to the commissioners, they don't meet for another 2 weeks. If we had a policy with on or about, with the after consulting with the county administrator, we could avoid what we're doing here today.
We should have the county administrator.
Michael, would you
Yeah.
write us a proposed policy for both ending date and starting date? Give us some more flexibility, we can avoid.
Thank you.
Did we vote on that?
Ready?
I don't think we voted on it.
Yes, we did, we voted on both.
One, you say you have a vacancy on the sergeant position in jail for a while. Over Friday, going in as a sergeant position, but acting as a corporal for many years. Just looking to, supposed to be here today, if given that you can't, just do it sergeant.
Now, before we make a motion, contrary to what I just said, issue before, doesn't HR and Treasurer's office need to know date certain for this promotion so that they can
Yes.
fix that payroll records?
Mhm.
So we, unlike the last thing we just did, we do need to know what date this effective.
And in fact, that is part of the prior discussion for the DA's office. It's the same idea. We need to kind of officially know somebody's start date.
I think that's why I got Michael involved, in that, so he can monitor that, and make reasonable adjustments.
So I recommend Troy Fry be promoted to corrections sergeant effective August 10th.
Have a motion?
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
All right, so we got a contract with Swanson Highway can be fulfilled.
Yes. Looking to have that signed so that we can then hire that position to fill it.
That essentially the same one that we had before.
Same,
We had with Swans, we had a contract for.
Yes, yes, it's
So
very similar.
Essentially,
It's very similar, basically. The only changes that were made to it is the compensation, obviously, to be updated to today's numbers.
This schedule 52,
The schedule of 42, I believe previously looking at the past one, it was 42 and a half. But the schedule, which we ratified a couple commissioner meetings ago, had brought that weekly hourly number down to 42.
so I'm gonna move to approve law enforcement contract between the county of Hancock and the town of Swans Island.
second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
The next item is our request to hire Justin Angelo for the full-time position of patrol deputy assigned to Swans Island at pay grade 12H with an effective start date of August 24th.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
The next one would be to hire a Taylor Kieran of Edington as a part-time patrol deputy at a pay grade of 12A for the union contract with an effective start date of August 10th.
So moved.
Second. So is it a new position? Right, done.
It's, yeah, so we do have a part-time line in our budget. And so we would be utilizing this part-time position as needed to fill details or whatever.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Excuse me, what?
No, we don't.
Move to accept the final maintenance monthly report as presented.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm requesting the hire of Alan Rawl, Addison, as part-time custodian, rate of 6A, courthouse pay scale, effective August 8th, 2024.
Again, this is the budgeted position.
It is, it's to replace any of the last approved we made, goes to this membership.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And I'm requesting approval to purchase a standby generator relocated at the DA's office from Next Gen Electric for a total of $10,201.02 to be paid from our. You see that was the select process that we made. We put out queries, 4 vendors, and 2 back. We took this price, and this company also is recommended by our regular electrician.
We're satisfied that this meets the purchasing policy, Michael.
The standby generator one. He provided you with additional information, but I guess the question was, how many vendors did you collect from pricing, and or was this specific only to this vendor? So this is really the only vendor that you wanted and why? So
Yes.
But you indicated that that's not the case.
That's not the case.
You had put this out to up 4 vendors.
Four companies.
You only heard, can you hear back from 2?
I got 2 visits and 2 prices.
the total price
The,
successful.
this is the low price at 10,201. The other was 13,000 change. I think it should be 5.
We said,
So basically,
It's
the
the
law,
low.
the policy itself, I think said 10,000. So the question is you're gonna put over $201, I guess.
the policy allows us to quote and solicit from directly from
Yeah,
vendors.
but I believe the threshold was 10,000.
After that, we have to do specifications and fill bids.
Dennis, will this be complete, or you're talking about an electrician, I believe, and are you gonna need additional work by an electrician?
No. But our regular electrician will be able to service it and provide us.
Okay,
I say close enough.
So I'm gonna move to approve the purchase of a standby generator to be located at the DA's office from Next Gen Electric LLC for a total amount of $10,201.02 to be paid from ARPA funds.
Second the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So that. Not really consistent with policy. Okay.
These next items you see are all proprietary sole source providers. I'm requesting to purchase a couple of magnet locks for the installation at the entrance of the DA's office from Cincinnati Time of Maine for a total of $46.20. Paid from ARPA funds, and that's for actually for two. The cost is half of that, $23.10. Like that, each. And this will replace the strike magnets that allow wobble and play to hold fast. You break the door before you break this magnet. So it's a security item that they requested that.
I move to approve the purchase of mag locks for installation at the entrance of the DA's office from CTOM as a sole source for a total of $44,620 to be paid from ARPA funds as requested.
Second the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next, I'll request the approval to replace the north end circulator pumps in the courthouse. The work to be performed by Aerotherm Inc. for a total cost of $6,500 to be paid from ARPA funds.
Is this part of, so is this part of like a capital improvement, or is it, just a standard repair?
It's replacement of one pump, two pumps in a much larger system. I wouldn't call it a capital expense. It's
Just curious.
yeah, it's a expensive maintenance. These pumps have gone from around $500-600 now over $2,500. It's crazy. Past.
And this again is sole source because you're just, you know, furnished them.
Yeah, so we're able to buy the equipment directly. You know, and the rub here is that if we send this out and ABC Mechanical install this, and we call Aerotherm Incorporated and bill of night for repair, it's likely that they would not want to touch it. And that's a situation we'd really rather not get into.
I'm gonna move to approve the replacement of the north end circulator pump for work to be performed by Aerotherm Incorporated as a sole source for a total cost of $6,500 to be paid from ARPA funds as requested.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Now, gentlemen, I provided you with a cost breakdown for this next item. And you'll see that this is one of those jobs where we stand to save many thousands of dollars by adding as general contractor for this job. And that is to purchase a new camera system, which will replace our in-house system and the sheriff's perimeter system, which has been knocked out by half. And again, that was equipment that was, I don't know how it was acquired, but a lower grade materials. It worked well for a bit, but now they're failing one by one. I think they have a total of 12 cameras, and I think 6 of them might be working, maybe. less than that.
So we're just at camera systems for the jail and the airport. Is this, I mean, do they talk to each other? I mean, or is this something totally different? Seems to me-
Yeah, this is standalones apart from those projects. And this is using the same type equipment that Chuck has spec'd out, and we're buying this equipment directly from his supplier. And what the wholesale cost is. We will, with help, run the wiring and install these ourselves, and Chuck will install them on our server-based hardware systems. So RCC, Sheriff's Department, anyone authorized to do so can log in and monitor. Or the real resource is if something occurs, there's a record and we retrieve it.
Okay, but we haven't gone out and sought prices from, we just, again, this is not consistent with the purchasing policy, right? Or tell me how it is.
Dennis, do you have quotes? Do you have printed quotes for the 10-440?
I have a price sheet from the supplier.
Yeah, I mean, for all of the last three, I'm not seeing quotes. Usually you have something on paper that shows your,
I don't know what the last three are.
well, the one you just did, the Maglocks and the.
I have quotes for Maglock, yes.
Where are we buying these from?
What is the name of that company, Jack?
Gulf Connection.
Gov Connection.
Okay. And
Okay, so
is
that
sole-
is exempt.
Right, is that sole source? I mean, what exempts this from the bid process, Jim? Can we buy from,
We could buy those other locations as well, yes.
Yeah, but is Gov Connection, I
Well,
thought,
is that one of the
if
ones
we go
that
out to
had
bid, the vendor
Gulf
will be
Connection's the
buying
vendor I use.
from Gov Connections, and we'll be paying the markup on that. And they'll be providing their own electrician at who knows what cost, and they'll be providing the labor to install these systems.
yeah, but Gov Connection doesn't make this product, right?
No, they do not.
No, there's
So
just
somebody- Are there other vendors out there who have access to this product?
Yes,
so,
How does that exempt us then from the bid process, having going to other vendors and saying, what can you supply this product?
so did the state of Maine have the Gulf Connections contract, did they bid and award that? All right, so that wasn't one of the vendors that you've used in the past.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I know, but I mean, based upon the fact that the state went through the bidding process. No, the state did.
So I guess another way to look at it is we could seek to budget this item, and then I just purchase these cameras one at a time.
well,
And
you're
far
circumventing,
below what we're gonna get a vendor to supply them. And so they're $400, I don't even need approval for that.
well, that's circumventing the process, that's not on the up and up.
I don't see how.
But
That's unfair
this
to
is
say.
not consistent with the policy.
I mean, I haven't heard an argument yet to say that it is.
I mean, I'd love to do it, but
Yeah, I'll happily withdraw this and take it out of bid. And, you know, we're talking about saving many thousands of dollars.
We're trying to comply with policy. Dennis.
Understood?
Well,
I
and
mean,
state law.
I think the policy should be that the county gets the best value for the dollar.
Prove it by bidding.
well, but what Dennis is talking about is bidding a job versus buying the equipment. Those are not the same thing. You know, it's buying the equipment. I mean, I thought that whatever
Gov Connection?
Gov Connection was one of the.
Well, that's why I asked, yeah.
Yeah, and if it is, then this piece cake. If it isn't, we need to just shop around like.
What is our connection? What is our connection? Gov Connection. What is our affiliation? Gov Connection. We just buy from them or something?
They're a vendor we bought, purchased through, and they've been often the lowest bid I can find.
they're actually lower usually than if I bought them direct from the company that makes them. So, but we can go out to other vendors and get pricing on the same exact items,
Yeah, that's what seems to.
if that's what's required.
Yes, you don't have to.
Yep, okay.
I mean, it's
Well,
not working.
I'd seek permission to go into bid then. You-
Just, yeah, you can have to bid for the equipment. No, not having you go out to bid to have somebody install it. You still let you be the contractor on it. It's just a matter of whatever. If Amazon sold it for less, you should buy it from Amazon. Whatever.
Well, it's not that we're trying to be jerks here, it's kind of state law, right? As far as I,
So it sounds like you're gonna be right. This is gonna be the cheapest way to do it. Let's prove it.
Sure, yeah, okay. Yeah, let me fine tune this a little bit to pull it into compliance with our
This
policy.
means there's only a couple items, you know, the rest of it is just
Yeah.
complicating.
So let's
so
let's
I'm gonna,
clarify that process for you and bring it back to you. I apologize for the incomplete presentations.
Thank you.
so I'm just gonna move to table this item to a future.
Thank you, sure.
Yeah, okay. Second motion.
We're gonna vote. Aye.
Aye.
One question I may have is, this is an ARPA fund request, so with a looming deadline for those proposals, is this one going to be, still be considered?
Well, you've got to the end of the year.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
well, we kind of set a pencil line of.
I say, you know, jail update. I didn't agree with that.
Well, I'm just saying,
Go ahead. What's your old jail update?
old jail, the old jail is just about done. And they're gonna be moving from that project onto our steps project and doing their Haslam Hall's portion of the renovation, which is concrete repair. So they're gonna be repairing the elevator tower, the defective panels, they're gonna be sealing it and putting a seal over the entire thing. The four steps and platform proper have some existing material spots that need repaired, filling in the old speaker boxes, for instance, and some spalling on the retainer wall. And then the sealing and painting of that. Afterwards, they put the railing on, and they're done on the inside by then, which I hope they will be, then that'll be a complete project.
Is that all you got for us then?
Yes,
All right, sounds good.
and Commissioner Cockett asked about those poles.
Yeah.
And the Historical Society said that what they would like to do is chop those poles off and put bollard sleeves over them to act as a buffer.
To
And
the building.
No.
and
First of all,
so I
bollards-
told them I'd bring it to you. Well,
The balls are on our land, stack.
they would be, yes.
Yeah. There's never been an issue that I can remember of people damaging the building by packing too close. So,
No, they used to park on the other side.
so I like to see those things go, those get them down subgrade, cut them off. And then when we hot top, we can hot top right over. So I reject that. I've got a strong feeling on it, so. Well, it's up to you, if you want to.
They didn't bring them. Well,
No, this is an informal request,
yeah.
and I told them I'd bring their suggestion back to you and see what they thought.
That just interferes with snow removal as well.
It would affect snow removal. Yes.
All right.
Yeah, no, I would defer here.
I would say that's just hand removal.
Yeah.
If there's any other type of barrier they want, they can address that at another time. And
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Anything to add to the monthly report?
No, not really, just bring your attention to three most critical incidents we had through the month, the standoff here in Ellsworth, the Dodgers supported there's crash in Leesboro and the plane crashes at Trenton Airport. Staff did a pretty good job with all those, considering that's they overrun pretty quickly, especially with the plane crash. All lines up 90% on 911 and 11% on the phone, just busy. That the added staff is sort of a benefit down there, the training also. It's been a lot more manageable this summer so far. They're also pulling hair out, they need to run at the end of the day.
So I'm gonna move to accept and file RCC monthly report as presented.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. And this next report was put together by Miriam.
Yeah, before she left.
Oh.
So it's not the full complete month of July, but what she had before she left.
Great. So I'm gonna move to accept and file human resources monthly report as presented.
Second motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We got some warrants.
I'm gonna move to accept and approve the monthly bills and warrants as presented.
Second motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now this next one. Very confusing.
Well, I'll give you the history on it real quick, that years ago, when they started drug court, Dr. Diamond got a citizens group together to raise funds to support the drug court, because it wasn't an official drug court when it first started. We call it the virtual drug court, a virtual judge. The state finally took it over, but then, when the state took it over, they still had this pool of money, and as a way to manage that, and
So we became the custodian of it.
yeah, we became custodian of the money, and so it's been in an account, and when that group needed it, they simply came and asked for that, we approved the disbursement. And so now that the drug court is dissolving, they want to take those funds and give it to the congregation.
Yes. So though, we were just custodian of those funds, they were never really ours.
That's right. And for some reason also this, the G account in Trio gets used for the monthly phone bill. It's just an in and an out. We pay for the drug court. We pay the bill, they reimburse us, and that will continue. The VWA, the victim witness advocate,
Okay, but so is,
they're still gonna have a phone. This
So-
is just the friends of the court.
okay, different account.
Dissolving. No,
So my question is, we're dispersing, what's requested is to disperse all but $1,000.
yeah,
So is that thousand? Oh, you're saying you make a request, you pay it, you make a request, they pay you.
yeah.
So it really, we don't need to maintain a balance in here
Not
for that.
necessarily, no, but Dr. Diamond suggested we keep a little bit, just as a retainer for a while. I don't expect to see any.
Well, I'm still confused about that telephone. Who pays for that ultimately?
Ultimately, the drug court pays for it. The drug court's not going away. It's just the friends of the drug court that's going away.
So the drug court's gonna reimburse you that phone.
Yeah, they have been, and they will continue to.
The drug court has, it's now alternative, what's that? What's the name of that group upstairs? It's not the drug court, it's the alternative. Sentencing, what is it, Dennis?
Alternative sentencing.
Alternative sentencing committee or council, or whatever it is. Anyway, and so It's their telephone bill.
I asked him, I said, is the phone gonna be going away? And he checked and got back to me and said, no, they'll continue to have a phone that they need.
And who's been reimbursing you for
The VWA.
from the district attorney's office?
No, it's,
But not out of this account.
No.
So not included in those funds that she's asking to be transferred.
Yeah.
So it's in a reimbursement, It still goes to that G account, correct? But it's-
yeah, it gets paid out of that G account and it gets reimbursed to that G account, so that the $1,000 will remain.
So there's still gonna be activity on the G account.
Yeah, it's just in and out.
It just won't have this balance.
I don't know why they designated this account to use to pay that bill.
Can you reimburse an expenditure account?
No, that'd be revenue.
So you'd have to declare this as revenue if you didn't do it this way.
Yeah, it was just set up as an in and out G account.
Are you opposed to doing it this way?
No,
Okay, so I'm gonna move to approve issuing a payment of $41,525.67 to Healthy Acadia to retain $1,000 in the G 3021-35 account for any future unexpected expenditures incurred prior to the dissolution of the Friends of Hancock County Drug Court. Any remaining balance in the account at the end of the fiscal year to be paid to Healthy Acadia.
they've already dissolved.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you might wanna say not prior, but subsequent. Because they've already dissolved, these are bills that might come up after they. dissolve.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you should say subsequent to the dissolution.
or subsequent, okay? What it says.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to ask the county commissioners to approve the hire of Dina Gilbert of Lenox, Massachusetts. She will be relocating here as full-time human resources manager at $75,000 per annum, with an effective date of September 14th, 2020. This candidate, for those that were around for the whole process, ended up being the chosen candidate unanimously, and even through the initial interview by the prior resource manager, gave her not. So there is obviously a little bit of delay in getting that person here because they have to move from out of state, but they are in the process of moving here anyway, and immediately they've set everything up. I'm working on completing it. So.
What was that compensation match for?
So it's basically at the same rate that what, and it's within the budget. We started out prior one at like at 73, but over the year, Hilton raises them to about 75. So we basically, in this applicant, arguably probably has a little bit more experience. So we took it basically to the budget, close to the budget.
So that'd be 75. The balance of this year will be based on 75,000 a year.
Basically.
It's Dina,
DEENA.
So I'm gonna move to hire Dina Gilbert of Lenox, Massachusetts as full-time human resources manager, at 75,000 per annum. Is that right?
Yeah.
Effective September 14th, 2024.
Second motion. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess we're ready. The big budget review.
Okay. We're doing EMA first? Yeah. That's under the commissioners, right?
We'll get it eventually. You need it, right?
No, I just wondered. When we did the Swans Island contract, did you guys have a copy that you guys signed as well?
They will.
They sign at the end.
Okay, perfect. I just want to make sure you guys had one. If not, I had printed an extra one.
Where?
Sorry, I haven't created binders for you yet for 2025.
We're in the
I've
process.
been pretty busy.
My only criticism is the printer we use. I don't know if this is a new one.
I have better copies.
It's fine. I mean, it's fine for today. I'm just saying, like,
I made new copies this morning.
it's already so small that it's like blurry.
Yeah, it's like a copy of a scan. The only thing on Andrew's revenue, I will speak for him, is on the R02 100, the EMA revenue. He and I had a discussion last week on what he expected his number to be for 2025. He said, oh, it's going to be cut. And then over the weekend, he sent me an update and he gave me the actual number which he received from the state of Maine. So I was a little low on our estimate for his EMA revenue, so that number is going to change. The number he got from the state of Maine is 83,126 instead of the 82,032. So I'll be updating his request on the next. Other than that, I can't speak for him. But I think he's stayed pretty flat.
Yeah.
I wish he was here to talk because,
I don't know if I might be able to call down.
I texted him, but you can try and reach his office.
well, I mean, it's a discussion revolves around the new EOC bill. And has there been any consideration in the 25 budget for that operation? I don't see how he could go from 242,000 to 239,000. Open up a new EOC bill.
I guess the question is the time, whether or not in 2025 realistically with potential additional work or anything that needs to be done and set up and everything else, whether he actually be in that building to be operational before the end of next year, I guess.
Yeah, didn't he, when he was here last, didn't he say something similar to that?
I mean, that's my understanding, I think, of his position, but
Well, that's for him, really not. Well, Michael, what's the process going to be this year? Is this, at some point, we're going to review this again before we submit a recommendation to BAC, right?
Oh, yeah.
that's what I understand, we built in a week towards the end before the final.
And but that's the date that will be reviewed.
Every kind of review, anything that you flagged that you've told us to look into or get additional information, or then we'll go back and all that.
But when,
I think it's that. Well,
I mean, is it late,
it's towards like that third week or fourth week in September, but it's right before, it's not a week or so before the
Okay,
public
so
hearing.
we got some time. All right.
So is that the only question about that you have at this point, is just whether? or
I
not-
assume that the change in the is part-time is, why is the reduction, 13% reduction, part-time? is he,
Part of
is
it
he
is,
sharing?
well, it was a shared position anyway, but also I think when the new person was hired, they weren't hired back at the rate of the prior individual that was in the budget last year. So,
You got any questions on it? All right. Everybody.
Yep, for all three. Read which way to reach us. It's not able to reach them.
Are your computers talking about Java update?
All right, so we're on to these.
Morning.
Good morning.
Somebody not get making as much money on the old copies, huh?
No, and actually, I didn't put this in there, copies are not good. But, we do have legislation for fee increases, but, you never know how that's gonna go. But if it passes, it'll be substantial.
But it wouldn't take effect until like September next year.
I know, but it would still be substantial.
So what's gonna happen?
We have in legislation, we have for fee increase.
Oh, okay.
And it's.
Yeah.
It's, for us, it will be huge. Like double, probably, what we are right now.
And I don't know if I'm, wonder if this was last year, all your fees, or most of your fees are set by legislation. Right?
Yes. Yes. But recording fees are on there to go up a lot.
In other words, we don't have control.
Correct.
There's nothing to do with transfer revenue. That even the copy fees are not set by us. So we have no control over
No.
this.
No.
So the only control is that estimated, and we depend on you to do that. So
Correct. Correct.
So expenditures will be 16,000 increase, 4%.
Are you looking at mine or Monica's numbers?
Looking at these, 350 to 365. So that's,
Yeah, I know.
what's the difference?
My numbers are the last page,
About 7%.
and that's why I'm here, because I did my numbers. So,
So who did the first page?
That's just
So we did two, and I thought I put this in an agenda, but
Yeah.
we did two because you had instructed us to do 3.2, so that's what we were instructed, but we have a couple of department heads and maybe more that had started out with their own recommendation as well. So to make it convenient to have what it would look like based on what they proposed and then what you instructed us to propose, we gave both. So that's kind of what the difference is.
And I would like to know why you were instructing us to get so much less than other employees in the county. I'd just like to know what your thought process is.
3.2 is the,
Is the code.
it's, no, yeah, but it's the
Social Security control adjustment.
yeah, social security code. They pick the number. They just-
But,
This-
but why for us?
No, it's all non-exempt employees. And this is discussion, had you been here, that we had, is that we just needed to see what a number, how that would impact the budget.
Which is why I put mine in here so you can see a number.
I know, but you're talking about a number that you would really like to see. We're just trying to plug a number in there to affect it. That has nothing to do with what we're going to give at the end of the year.
No, you probably give us nothing because you treat courthouse employees and people who aren't in the union differently. And I mean, I keep hearing the word consistent, but you are not consistent. And so that is why I put it in print for you to see the difference of last year and what next year's or this year's and what next year's raises will be. And I wanted you to see it in print that when you make these decisions arbitrarily, that they affect people. And if it's a cost on it though, I wanted you to see one department, what the difference would be between the number that you pick to start with.
Well,
One thing about it, if we picked 10% and we ended up deciding that we wanted to go to 7, we're doing a hell of a time bringing it down. We start with 3.2 and want to go to 7, it's plausible.
Right, but last year, everyone else got more than 3% and we got 3%. And now this next year, everyone is gonna get more than 3 point whatever that number is that you wanna give us. And so prior people worked so hard to get us on a competitive pay scale that we could hire people. And now in 2 years, we're going backwards. So I'm just saying, like, really, my money in there for advertising is a typo, but at this rate, maintenance can't hire people. And how is any other department gonna be able to hire people if you don't try to be a little bit more consistent?
well, when you say consistent, you're saying if somebody gets 6%, I'll pick a number, 6%, everybody else should get 6%.
They
That's
should
what
at
you
least-
mean by consistent.
Or at least close to it. I would like, that's what I'm saying. You should be somewhat consistent, but 3 and 6 is not.
How about letting you try to finish
Yeah,
my
but,
thought?
but that's what I mean.
Yeah, so during those negotiations, which is where those numbers came from, there was, some salary comparison. Here, there isn't. And maybe that's what needs to take place. That's sort of what we tried to do during COVID. And, I just don't agree that, because somebody else gets 6%, everybody else should get 6%. That's just not the real world. I know that might be the real world in county government, but it's not the real world. So I think what we need to know is, for these jobs, what is the market? And you're right, if we're below the market, we're never gonna attract anybody.
Correct.
So, I don't know, there are salaries, MMA has salary studies for,
So and then how many people responded, I don't know, but the MACAM, the County Commissioners Association, and clerks and all that, had just put together one, what they did on their home. So I can't guarantee it's scientific, it's just kind of self-reported numbers, but I can try to obtain a copy of that from them and see what.
See, I mean, my guess is that you threw in that 10%,
I put my
Just to-
thinking in. Yes.
just as, and then somebody else threw in, you know, another department head threw in. I didn't see the best.
I see
7%. So, you know, I guess we should look at that study and see how that jives with these numbers.
But another thing to throw in there is that you don't have a mechanism for department heads to get raises. It costs a living is it.
Well, that's sort of world of government, right? But once in a while, it's reconciled through, I would think, through a salary study of some sort. It sounds like maybe that's an order. I mean, I just don't think that we can throw 10% of all of these jobs and, you know, we're starting to get pushback from communities. I don't know if you are, but
But we provide a public service.
I agree with you.
But,
It just,
but what makes any job as a public servant any more important than the next one? I'm just trying to make you realize, you look to my department for revenue, and we make it. Other departments don't, but their service is just as important. I mean, I'm just trying to make you realize that you have employees who come to work and do their job, but you treat them very differently than other employees. So, no, they are, you know, it's not.
It's a different system. We
I
we use a
understand.
different system to evaluate the, you know, the pay of everybody, and you run a different system and such. You treat it different.
I understand what you're saying, but I just want you to
Yeah,
be
we understand.
aware, and we can agree to disagree.
Yeah, Chuck?
Well, I have an employee paying and he's not exempt. Do I tell him that all he's ever gonna get is COLA 2 or 3% each year and he'll never get a pay increase? I mean, that's what she's saying. I mean, that's where I'm coming from. That's why I put 7% in there. What do I tell Damien? Yeah, you're going on 3 years here, buddy. I'm sorry you never get a pay increase.
The average raise in the United States is 3%,
that's what that
It
number
is.
is.
not plus COLA, but it's 3%. So just say that is the average.
Right, but a
But-
couple of years ago, wasn't it 9% or something like that, and we got 6? When COLA was 9, or
Oh, it was not.
I thought a couple of years ago, inflation's been huge.
Was that
Like, not last year, when I did it.
8.9%, so close to, what was it not? It was 8.9.
The year before,
It's 7%.
7%.
Right, to catch the
Right.
wage scale.
Yeah. But we're not gonna we're not gonna do that every year. We already see where the budget's at, right? So. My proposal would be that you keep the COLA like we've been doing, 3%, and then the folks that are non-supervisors, they're getting a step increase. That essentially is 1.5% per year.
Well, Chuck confused me a little bit.
What?
Like,
Like Banyan.
Opinion is not in the,
No,
It's 3 over 2 years.
he doesn't get steps.
There is no exempt.
For part of those
Exempt.
years.
Yeah.
So that's 5-year period where you get 2 steps in the year, so if you break it down per year on that, it's 3% between steps. But if you have 2 steps for 5 of those years, you don't advance, you just basically go up.
But is Damien exempt employee? He's not on the scale.
He's not,
He's not subject to that 3%, 5%, so.
and you have the same scenario?
My girls are on the scale, but But department heads elected, there's no exempt, there's no rate increase built in, just the cost of living.
So essentially, Don, I think what you're trying to get at
Yes.
is if you were gonna offer whatever the COLA was, and then something comparable to a step increase for the number of years, we would just need to calculate the number of years that the department head non-exempt employee been here, plug them into where they would be going forward with 3% or 1.5% if they're stuck in the 2-year time period, and keep that all the way up till the end. But when they're at the end of the scale, then they would be just like the other, even the union ones. Once you're at the end of the scale, you're in the scale. So the only thing you're getting at that point is
COLA.
COLA. It's a different way of looking at what we've done, and it would require a different process to calculate and track that, but
I know, I'm throwing a load at you, but
Well, I'm just trying to, we tried to solve this, during our, I forgot what, that portion of ARPA that we used to do that. Somehow we need to solve this, and I don't know, to me, salary study, or using some sort of salary study that's out there, I'm not saying undertaking it wrong.
But
It's a
it
way
won't-
to,
sorry.
I mean, I guess I'm fishing for,
It just won't adjust that disparity because using the arguments that are being provided here.
yeah,
It won't adjust that disparity because then you're gonna just continue on.
same thing's
With
gonna keep
COLA.
happening.
So you might up, I mean, arguably, you're not gonna take away from somebody if we find out we're overpaying somebody. But, some may go up, some may stay the same, but the annual increase then for those 20 positions, essentially will eventually not be the same, and they'll be coming back in again, well, union's getting 7%, and I'm getting a whole lot 3%.
But we have to separate this conversation, this discussion from exempt and non-exempt. Because an exempt employee or a non-exempt employee is on a wage scale. And so if you hire a new non-exempt employee, they go to the appropriate place on the scale. But because the exempt employee is not on the scale, you hire a new exempt employee today, they got what the last exempt employee got when he left. When that person left, it's HR.
I didn't.
HR got $2,000 more to start than the last HR director got from being here. And that's the case. Sheriff. The sheriff, I was here 34 years as sheriff. When I left, the sheriff came in with brand spanking new and got a 7% raise over what I was getting after 34 years. So this discussion has got to separate the exempt and non-exempt and how we decide what we to give raises. And that's really, this is a good discussion, but it's not going to resolve anything today. I'd like to get back and talk about your budget.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah,
I'm curious more than anything. Last year you had no money for advertising. This year,
yeah, that's what I said, it's a typo.
oh, the typo.
Yeah, it's supposed to be my computer support, which is there.
So will we add 1,400 to the balance, or is that just?
No, just take that out and subtract.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, in other words,
I just went with what you had.
Yeah, no, I realized it today, I looked up,
so advertising is 0 for 25,
yes,
and so that's 1,400 less the envelope.
yes, please. And my part-time wage that I owe Monica will be paid to the county under my surcharge. We'll settle up in a couple of weeks when they're gone.
Part-time wages are not paid in the budget.
Correct.
I guess other than your 10%, you're doing pretty well with your budget. Julie.
I try,
Oh, good,
all right, thanks.
thank you.
So, when, uh, like I'm looking at, oh, no, that's all. So from there down, those were all these numbers for personnel.
Yeah.
It's not including personnel, the numbers were the same.
Yeah,
Okay,
between the two sheets.
Yeah.
Yes,
is that consistent through all departments?
there's only two.
Well, they're here today.
Yes,
Okay,
Andrew, I've been in contact, Andrew will be here shortly.
So on your revenues, Chuck, you're pulling 9,000 from your reserve and putting it towards your budget, is that what's happening?
I didn't even see that, no, I see revenue 5,000.
900 reserve transfer.
I
Oh,
guess
we're
that-
not doing any this year. is that it?
Right, it was flat last year. It's,
Oh, I'm sorry.
that's a 5-year.
yeah,
I'm sorry, okay, gotcha. And again, other than salaries and benefits, employee costs, everything else, the numbers are the same, both sheets, correct?
yes.
And Van, or Chuck, you sent out an email yesterday. Or this
An
morning.
updated list, a detailed list of.
Yeah, so this sheet is contained here.
It is, except for I believe one line changed, right? Monica,
Yeah,
the 3320 was
yeah, the computer software number was different than,
one item did not make it on there, so that should be 38, not 32,000.
It should be 38.
Okay, so the rest of these numbers are contained here.
Which,
The rest of your numbers here
that is right.
are contained here if we make that adjustment.
That's correct. We make
34,
that $38,000. I just tried to give you detail of some of the accounts, so you can see what's inside each one.
And this is also your stab at sort of setting up reserves for,
That is,
Some of the
I
things
talked
that
with
we've done.
Michael and I said I would list them and then try to come up with a review on the way to do, go forward with those. You look at the future budget at the bottom of that sheet that I sent. You're talking about approximately $60,000 increase as of 2029 annually, so, and those are all really cyber related increases. So how do we want to do reserves? Setting up for 2028, 2029 for that increase.
Well, the equipment reserve, Chuck. What's the 125,000 estimate?
That one is for our future server. We have a
Just one item alone?
well, that one item is our 26 servers. So it's, and
That's
that's
right.
actually, if you look at the future budget, it's the scale servers, only for scale. And 2019 operating system. Those three lines together is 125,000.
All right. But that's, and what's the life of that?
The life of that machine is around 5 years.
So there's 25,000 a year. So you got 10,000 for, you got. You're reserving 10,000 more than 25 for what, $50,000?
Well, I think what happened is we made up for the prior year. That's what happened. If I remember correctly. The prior year, we decided to cut back and we didn't put in the 25. So I think that was the makeup year.
So 35 makes up for what we didn't raise for 25 last
But since if you look at the date of the servers expire 9/21/26. That's when, it's not too far away. Next year's budget, I'll be preparing for the new servers. So that's not far away. I don't know what we have total in that reserve account at this point. So do we want to keep it 35 or do we adjust it?
We have 15,929.91. It's right on the budget sheet.
So at the end of this budget year, 25,
See, I don't have one of the budget sheets, so.
Oh,
Yeah, but only had 50,000.
which is what he needs, 25,000 a year.
No, he's saying,
I'm saying that 2026, whatever server that's expires.
oh, so, Bill, you're right, because there's 2 more years. So right now, after the end of 20, no, it's only 1 year. This is a 25 budget.
We got 15 in 24, 35 in 25.
So that's 50.
50,000, but in 26, we're gonna have to raise 75,000 because he needs you to serve.
Yeah,
That's right.
sorry, there was 15 and 23. There's 35 for 24. And he's asking for 35 for 25.
that's 7.
Oh, we haven't put the
No,
25 in.
not till the next, end of the year.
So how much we're gonna have at the end of 25?
At the end of 24,
I mean, 24.
we'll have 50,000.
That's what I said.
We started late on this reserve. account
Yeah.
system.
The question is, do we want to raise 75,000 in 26? Or do we want to split that 175 between this year? In other words, if we raise 45,000 this year, we're gonna have to raise 60 next year. Or raise 50,000, 50,000 raised in this year, raise 75.
Well, moving, so we're in a predicament now. It seems like, okay, after we buy this thing, we've got to take the cost and spread it out
Spread
over.
it out over the life of it. Which
Life.
is what you'll have to do with, what skewed it is because of the ARPA funds and then other, and trying to cut back last year, to cut expenses, so.
Would it be prudent to spend 125 in 24 by the new servant today? Even though the one we got hasn't expired, but we can use ARPA funds to buy it and then budget 25 for the next 5 years.
That server, didn't we buy with our funds?
Yes, we did. We bought it originally.
3 years ago?
Yeah,
One of the first things that was purchased.
one of the first purchases we made.
My question's still out there. Another one?
But
Is there any value in that
we
server?
updated, like,
We've updated it many times with memory and with drives, and we maxed it out at this point. It's at its capacity right now.
So you would, if you replaced it, you'd buy a bigger one or buy a more?
Actually, if I replaced it, I would look at it a little differently. I would, correct, I did a bigger system, but I'd also look at working with RCC and EMA about setting up a disaster recovery site at the new EMA location and having a high availability system where this system went down, that one would be up and running within a half an hour. Right now, our disaster recovery time probably is 24 to 48 hours, which RCC would not like that. Prior to me getting here, it was probably a week or 2 weeks, so that's what I would do. If I looked to a new system, I would go to a high availability.
If you was to buy that today, what would that cost you? Any idea?
It'd be a total gas pump. I would say it'd be closer to the 200 versus the 125 for a high availability.
But you're buying a different system.
That's right. I would advise getting a new system.
I still say that if he's maxed out, even though it's only 3 years old, he's maxed out and the new system would accommodate the new EOC because in the new EOC building or in the new property, if we go as we're planned, there is going to be an off-site IT location for storage. So in other words, if this building burned flat and whatnot, we have a storage off-site and whatnot with all the IT. not only for ours, but it's available for other entities, right, Joe?
That's right.
I mean, we could actually sell storage space in this new space that we've got. So anyways, if what Chuck is talking about right now, we did before December 31st and build into ARPA, we now have met two things. We've met the next 5 years for service, and we have accommodated the EOC, not the EOC, but the annex expansion.
And we haven't touched this reserve,
Right.
so this reserve could fund could be the reserve for the new.
And I'm just giving you a wild guess on that 200,000 is what higher bill.
But it doesn't, I shouldn't say that it doesn't make a difference, but the issue is that if it comes from ARPA, it's not like it's tied to a budget figure.
Right.
So, and if we did that, because we have 35, we have 40,000. How much did we raise last year? 20,
35,
Issue.
35, and we have 15 in there?
yes.
So there'd be 50,000. I say we don't reserve anything for 24. Not for 25.
No, so I would disagree with that only because, well, I guess I can't agree or disagree.
Well,
Yeah.
I think you'd be on a new 5-year window, and your 5-year window is looking for $200,000 system versus 125.
Exactly, that's my point.
Like 50,000 in there right now, and you're right. That might be a consideration we want to make at the end if we're looking for money. But I think Chuck should be advised today to start working on that system.
All I can do is go up there and try to find out what the costs are later. High availability system.
But, okay, so that's gotta be committed before the end of the year. So somehow you commit to it, that means ordering equipment, so what's he do in the meantime?
Continues with what he has.
So what he has is still good for like 2 more years.
That's right. Right now, we've maxed out the system as far as amount of memory and disk space, but we're okay. I mean, we're running good. We're running probably 50% of it, so we're not overutilizing it by any means. We're good.
So Chuck, I got a weird question. So like, when I think of any kind of computer equipment, like you committing to this piece of equipment 6 months from now, when we don't really need it for
2 years.
2 years. Now you've got this old server that you've had for 2 years. And I'm just saying, like, you would never do that with like
No, I mean.
a regular system, but is that not a concern that you, like, we're gonna buy this piece of equipment, we're not really gonna implement it for maybe a year or a year and a half, and I don't know how soon the EOC of this would be. But you bought this, but it's like buying a car and letting it depreciate for a year and a half without ever using it.
Oh, if you bought it, I would use it. I would let it sit.
Yeah, it's like,
And if we commit the funds through contract or whatever, December 31st, he doesn't implement this until well into the 25 budget year. He's in his 4th year of this.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're throwing away a perfectly good product that we just bought. We're getting close to the expiration.
I know the system next door, Jason Ingles, also just purchased a new system. And I believe it took him 6 to 8 months just to get the system. So it isn't like if you ordered it December, you won't get it installed, probably took a year to get it installed. He's still working on this right now. And it's been months after that 6 to 8 month window.
Where is that?
And it also sits.
City Hall.
So it's not something you'll get installed right away. Especially if we're doing a new install that in a location that you're doing a high availability, there's gonna be a lot of planning. Especially here.
So based on this discussion, I think we should leave that number at 35.
I do too, and Michael, make a note that Michael, we're looking for money, come the end of September. And we can think about this again. Meantime, you're going to start studying what it would cost for the system that you like to see.
I'm gonna work with Bob Connery in RCC and see what his response time that he'd like to see out of the system for still and what's acceptable.
And then, hopefully by the, by the final budget day, we should leave in that account something that we can live with moving forward. As a reserve, so when the next 5 or 6 years comes up, we're not scrambling, the money's there to do it.
I'll definitely look into it. And the only question then is the cyber stuff is about $60,000 a year starting in 2029. Actually, some of it expires in 28, some in 29.
So where are you now?
Is that the
At the
technology?
bottom, it says future budget info on that sheet that you do.
Oh,
If you look at like the first 4 items, highway detect, telecom, soft decks, no before, all those are,
We don't do that.
All
so I've sort of lost. You're at,
70-200
sheet heights.
on the budget.
oh, on the budget.
These are, when they come due.
What is your point here? In other words, establishing, is the technology,
I didn't know,
Reserve
maybe,
account.
I thought maybe we should have another reserve line for a cyber reserve for 2028, 2029 to account for those new costs. We're looking at about $60,000 in costs.
So that's a new reserve line.
That's what I'm proposing.
Okay, it's
This is
not
a
on.
new reserve line.
Sorry, it's not on here.
Okay, that's where, but it is in here.
It's on that's why.
Where?
Look at the
future
first,
budget in
the
for
first 4 items. Look at the bottom there.
Yeah,
Future stuff.
yeah,
Those first 4 items, first
Okay.
4.
okay.
Take those first 4 and then possibly the last item, which is the San Bruno phone system, all that's going to expire in 2028, 2029. And those are annual costs that we've got to account for.
Okay, but those are annual, not equipment. Those are annual,
Subscription costs.
yeah, so those are not reserve items, those are expense items.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not equipment that you're purchasing to replace, then
Yes,
essentially it would be, but again, that becomes the question. I mean, do you start setting aside a little bit to ease the burden when you get into that year, or do you just slap, starting that year, 28? Well, it wouldn't be all 60,000, it sounds like, but by 29 anyway, essentially would be an increase of $60,000 to your budget right off the top.
in other words, starting in October of 28, there's a $10,000 annual fee for Tyler Tech every year.
Every year, annually. Those are all annual costs.
and that Tyler, basically 38,000 a year.
You can't. There's no way we're gonna reserve that.
No,
I mean, that's an annual cost. That's just gonna be added to the budget.
But I wanted to bring that up to you and see how you might account for that.
Well, we're gonna have to account for it in the year that it
Yeah.
occurs.
well, Michael's point was, should we take this opportunity to soften the blow in the first couple of years by putting something in reserve? Right?
Yeah, I mean, essentially setting up an operational, I mean, you're gonna define what it is. that you want to call it. It's fine. And there's still time to think about it, doesn't have to be this year, but it's just, otherwise you need to prepare for. It's gotta be in your back of your mind, there's gonna be a big bump there in 28, 29.
Spread it over a couple of years or not, that's conversation about.
You put 10, 15 grand in it.
Yeah, something.
Well, then that will be the discussion late in September when we're talking about 35,000. Whether or not we will leave that, maybe taking some of that, leaving it in another reserve account. Or transfer it, I don't know.
Well, I'm trying to sort of separate, I see where you're going, Bill, but I'm trying to separate the two only because I know that server, you know, we're going to need, that's equipment that we should be reserving. Here, I don't know, I hate to say it, but this almost needs to be in addition to that.
I thought it'd be a new reserve one.
Yeah,
Your only purpose is to ease into what's gonna be $60,000 to $70,000 additional every year after 28, 29. So the best you can do is put, 15, 20,000 and ease into that, because you're not gonna have that every year. Raise it. Would you say, Monica, 10,000 a year? Is that what you just said? I thought I heard you offer a suggestion. No,
I think we have to plug something in.
well, this is a 25 budget.
You said this is gonna come in 28?
Some of them are 28, some are 29. I gave you the dates on.
Oh, yeah,
What's the 37,000? Does that one kick in?
29.
So how much is the 28 increase? I don't have a sheet in.
28 is only 10. No,
Total,
no, 10, 16,
About 18.
about 18 dollars, yeah.
28. The budget year 20, yeah. 28.
Yeah, the only other thing I included was the same number of phone at the bottom, because that's gonna be annual as well.
And do you know if you pay this lump sum? Was it September of 28, you pay the $6,000, or you pay monthly or what?
Let's see.
Well, some of those we pay monthly,
Those are all
lump sum payments.
lump sum.
Do what?
I don't think you'd want to do 15,000.
What, 20, 25, 26, 27, and 28?
60,000.
We don't even have 60,000 by 28. We don't have 60,000 total until 29. You know, and all we're doing really is easing into, you don't want,
That's right.
if you have 100% of that 60,000 by 29, you're gonna have a $60,000 increase in 30.
And how we,
Well, I'm saying we raise, if we put 5,000. Whatnot, we're going to have. We're gonna have 15,000 in there for, by the time we get to 28, there's only a $17,000 increase instead of 28.
And I'm giving you today's prices. I don't know what they are, right?
and then, but then at 29, there's another,
37,
well, no, 40. There's some other things.
well,
I think it's gotta be at least 15. But and what's got us into this is, all this was paid by ARPA. That's correct.
I know it, but if we raise 15, starting at 25, and at 30 and 26, 45, 27, and you raise 15 and 28, by the time that bill comes due, and whatnot, you're gonna have $60,000 in there to pay $18,000 in bills.
Yes, but then the next year,
Right, you're gonna have,
You don't have to drain it at the end. You can keep it so that whatever so that the,
okay, let's put 15 in there, but we may have to look at that again in September.
Yeah.
So we're gonna set up a new reserve line.
yeah, and actually, 20 would give it too much. It needs to be about 18, to be accurate. Right?
I know what you're saying, but the problem is that you're just putting the big increase, you're just waiting. It's gonna come in there and there's gonna be a huge increase because the reserves.
I think the thing is, though, is you have to be smart about, like, when you end up doing the budget on it, is it only gonna take so much money out of the reserve? And yeah, you're gonna see a $20,000 increase in the IT budget that year. With
So
that,
apply that.
with that one, so we've already built in a little bit of a bump up. The next time, take another 10,000, 15,000 in another bump up of 20,000. It's to IT, so that it's it's a step up each time, so instead of going to a $60,000 bump up, you're doing 15 or $20,000 bump ups each time, each year.
We are until we get to the end of that, and then what Bill's saying, once those reserves are down,
Yeah, but
then
we'll
it
already
goes to
built up,
60.
but we'll have already built up the amount, I'm saying, right? So at the end, yeah, the final one, we've got next year. We've got, but then it's all built into it.
I mean, by 2032, for example, we're gonna have no reserves and we're gonna be spending $60,000 to $70,000 for this.
Well, and my hope is by then,
But that'll already be built into the budget.
well, not the total amount, but there'll probably be another solution by then.
Yeah, things change quickly.
Yeah, it's gotta be at least 50 bills. If you do the math, just the 5 period, it's more like 18.
Let's do 15 for now. Right.
I guess it's almost sinful to say this and whatnot. Are we simply being too secure? I mean,
Where's Banyan?
we didn't have anything 2 years ago. And now we're up to $60,000 in another year or so. I mean, have we, and this is an issue that nobody understands except you and me. I'm saying, do we really need this level of protection?
If we're gonna meet the standards and meet what we're required to by insurance and meet the standards. we're
Is
supposed
that
to.
a new standard? We didn't have that standard before, never had that
Yeah,
standard.
and we were failing miserably before.
What was the sanction? Risk? Beyond risk.
Well, beyond risk, when it comes down to it, it's insurance.
They
Cybersecurity is insurance. How much insurance do you want to have on your network? and your equipment?
Again, I can't argue that. I don't know how much insurance we need.
And we're giving you the insurance level that the industry says that we should have in for us to meet NIST and other standards that are out there that are recognized by our insurance company, our cybersecurity insurance.
This also, is thrown into Chuck's budget, but this, protects the jail, sheriff's department, it's everything. Still actually county, because, other police departments.
It does the entire Hancock County, from the airport to here to all 26 servers, every.
But not only county government, but municipal government also, because they're accessing Spillman.
Correct. Some of the stuff that we're starting to implement is, we'll actually have mobile device security where we have to actually put security on people's cell phones, and that will involve other agencies who want to get into like Stillman Touch in the future. So we're gonna have to have security on their phones so that they can turn on, access Stillman remotely on their phones. You have to have security on. So,
It's just mind blowing though. I mean, I'm going to ask the sheriff's department to provide us that list that we try to get every year on exactly all those service maintenance fees and the technology costs, and, Spillman and down through and whatnot. And it's gonna be mind boggling what we're getting and the bottom line is that we don't understand 75%.
Well, and I think that's why it's all being enrolled in IT, so that there's a central, so that
yeah, we
different departments are, yeah.
Okay.
Which is why he should get a 7%.
Well, I got 7%, but I was just wanted to bring that attention because like Banyan, in this case.
Monetary,
But we're revisiting something, so I've been having.
Well, no, the problem is it hasn't been hashed, we're all trying to figure out a solution,
Oh, no.
Okay, we done with IT. So, good. I think one of Paul's headings. So
There's-
Don't believe on the two executive sessions that we have the attorney here yet, so
you don't think, well,
I don't believe believe the attorney's here yet.
Well-
But we do have Andrew.
But we do have Andrew to go.
Yeah. Well, if you wanna ask some questions about the budget.
Yeah.
And the question.
We're doing my budget now, or?
We did do a budget already.
All right.
And the problem we had is that how much accounting in your 25 budget are you doing for cost associated with the EOC?
Well, in theory, those are all going to be reimbursed as part of the grant.
Operation? I mean, what if we were fortunate enough to break ground this fall and by,
As far as operations, I don't really see that as feasible in FY '25. I mean, I'll defer to you, but,
I have no idea, I just,
yeah. And I think we're gonna have to see the building, the grounds congealed to find out what our operating expenses are gonna be there. I certainly have a vision of it, but I couldn't comfortably predict that in a budgetary sense, yeah.
okay.
So, and I apologize for missing the earlier session. Were you able to discuss the increase in
I
revenue?
think so.
All right, great, thank you, I appreciate that. Good checking for me.
All right, that's all, I didn't,
Okay. Commissioners, anything else?
take a break. So,
We try to take a break, see if he's here yet or not, and then if you come back, you can always skip into the other one.
Well, do we want to do the, like 17 and 18?
If you want.
County Administrator, Office comments. We'll take comments.
So I kind of forewarned you in advance, I'm just looking for a little bit of feedback, not to have a
Exactly.
concrete decision today on this, but COVID policy and lessening of the standards because the CDC lessened standards, but our standards don't match the state standards. If we have people that are working in our buildings that are state employees, so question became or becomes, do we need to take a look at our standards again and perhaps move them back to more restrictive and have that try to mirror what the state has? Or do we want to leave it the way it is, and it is what it is?
Michael, is the state restrictive or
The state's more restrictive
more restrictive than ours?
in terms of what they utilize. So we're using what the CDC recommends, which is basically 24 hours fever-free without medical medication intervention and no symptoms. The state doesn't use that. It is more restrictive in terms of a certain period, if you're sick, not here, and so on.
I say we follow, my feeling is that we follow the CDC, because the state is slow to act, shouldn't mean that we're slow to act.
Well, and I think the argument from the information that was forwarded to me by the DA is though that the CDC does have some of that language in it. So it's where do you use, so that's, we have kind of inherited the most recent guidelines as we understand them, but it does say things about, well, you can be sick without symptoms. Well, yes, you can. You can be. So, how do you, so they're saying, well, we're still putting in this much time or this threshold in addition to that, because, it could potentially still be contagious at that point. But it could. And the big issue is just where we have overlap. State employees working in county buildings.
And even worse, when you have state employees and county employees working in the same department. So, which is the case in the DA's office. Those attorneys are state.
Sorry, Michael, did you say the state is less restrictive? More.
And I think they're gonna have to come around to this. I don't have a lot of interest in going to deviating from where they are now, which is the CDC recommendation.
I mean, the argument issue becomes that the person or department head, for lack of a better term, but in this case, it would be the DA, who's responsible for overseeing the people. I mean, it will likely go to the state standard anyway, because I mean, that's what applies to people throughout its facility. So the argument would be, well, the county standards are less, so counties bring in COVID into office infecting state employees. And now, how can you can't make causal connections with any of these. I mean, the reality is people catch it from a variety of sources. So just because they work there didn't mean that that's where they got it. I mean, there's a spike regionally and statewide that's out there for caseloads. Doesn't mean it all came from that one bill. But that's the argument that's being, and it's difficult for me to say otherwise, because I mean, I can't prove yay or nay in terms of where this is coming from. So, but that's the argument, and then that's the concern that'll be expressed, that the county didn't do enough to protect it. So that's why I'm trying to see if we need to, at a minimum, take a look at those two different standards and see if there's anything that we can do to adjust.
Well, presumably, there's some science behind the CDC recommendations.
I would assume, but it depends on who you talk to.
Well,
right?
okay,
I mean,
but-
that's
but-
the same issue I recommended, that they go back to wearing masks and stuff, and was told that masks don't work, and got into that scientific, unscientific argument. So, yeah, you know, and that's recommended by the CDC as well, so.
Well, my point is that presumably the CDC, there's some science behind it, presumably
Yeah.
the state is politics behind
Well, I think you ignore the fact that you have an office with 15 employees, and somebody comes down with COVID, and suddenly 5 or 6 of them have COVID. You guess why you caught that at the grocery store, through, you know
it.
what I mean?
Well, to me, it's irrelevant, it's what stand, where they
It's
got it.
not irrelevant if you say to yourself, maybe we need to look at our policy. I mean, the DA tried to establish some enforcement to reduce that and a kickback, because that policy didn't support what he thought was best for his office to, you know, to work with it, so. I think you should look at our policies.
And I don't have a problem with that, I just need to know the direction.
The problem is that if we come up with a system that requires people to stay home, they have COVID under a certain situation, and they don't have any sick time on the books, I shall compensate. That's really,
Well,
that's one of the issues.
Next are the 3 issues that I want to ask about.
So I mean, as we study this, it raises other issues that need to be looked at.
Sort of why I didn't want to go there, but. It's being outnumbered, so I'm fine with that.
I want to go there to the extent that Michael sets it and.
I mean, the response right now is, I don't see that we have, if you are out sick, you're out sick, whether it's COVID, flu, whatever other disease, virus, bacteria, whatever it is, I mean, you're out, you have to use whatever time you have. That's the policy right now. So I can't say, when I was asked, can we give these people time off so they can go home? I can't say to them, you can do that. Now, if you could potentially look at saying, well, this was a work job related hazard, and now I'm gonna file a workers' comp claim or whatever, and then who knows where that would go, and whether you could do that. And that would be left to the insurance companies and stuff to go through their process. It's not like this is something that unfortunately, at this stage, it's back in our, lap again, because it's happening and people are being out. But I mean, the reality is that's what's happening. So we're kind of left with this dual system that they're looking to me, and then they're saying, well, the county's not protecting us. And the only
So
way
this
that
is-
gets solved is if they take you to court.
This is what this is actually about, that's why I want to stay out of it, but this is actually about, I got COVID, so I want to be paid because I'm out of sick time, or I don't want to use my sick time, I want to be paid.
Well,
But but if it's a cold, then that doesn't apply. If it's anything else, it doesn't apply, that's my problem, I would like to be Anyway, sorry.
But the problem is, that we don't have a policy that says if you have the flu, you gotta stay home.
Exactly.
So we do have a policy that says if you have symptoms, yes, have symptoms and you're taking medication, you have to stay home. COVID. So we are treating COVID differently than we are all other reasons for being sick. So do you think, Michael, that you should take time to sit down and study this whole thing again and talk to whoever and come back with a recommendation for us? Or do you think you pretty much?
I mean, I haven't sat down item for item to see where the disparities are. So I haven't done that yet. I mean, I've looked at them quickly, but I know some of the major things that were pointed out, and that even the DA had mentioned, so. There would have to be, if we were going to adjust something, I mean, I would have to look at it and come up with something to recommend, but that's still not gonna solve the issue of people who have time off. Because the third part of this is what happens when you have somebody that is tested positive or appears to be positive, and you as a department head tries to send them home and they refuse to go home.
I can answer that question.
All right, either way.
But during the whole, there was COVID pay. If you didn't have time and you were sent home because the department had to work, there was COVID pay that the county did pay if you didn't have time and was affecting your office. But the other half of that is, if it's possible that the person can work from home, they got sent with a laptop.
Yeah, combination.
So you can go home and be sick and do your job and get paid. But if it's something you can't, there was COVID.
Julie, I really don't want to say that what we did 3 years ago was
Was right.
appropriate
I
because
know.
we were learning. And
No.
what we know a lot more today than we did 3 or 4 years ago when COVID started, and we were trying to deal with it. And
No, and I'm agreeing with you, but I'm just saying.
Even at
you
the
know-
beginning, there was some provision,
Just-
recommendations or sideline stuff that also had indicated at that point that businesses, especially ones of certain size and all that, were to provide
Something.
that, but that's gone away after the emergency. That was part of the quote unquote emergency, public health. So once that went away, I mean, so did a lot of that other stuff, as I understand it. But as far as I know, and the treasurer would have to confirm that one, we don't have a pool of money sitting around for just COVID paying employee benefits or sick time, I should say.
with regards to that third issue, if the policy we have in place is being violated by the employee, that's a management issue between the department head and the employee. If that department head is trying to enforce something that's not in policy, then there's still be an issue.
So and I don't disagree with that, but the clarification point on that, because it does indicate one of the things that you can be terminated for is insubordination. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things here, but arguably, what I was told is I can't enforce it because I'm a state employee, I'm not a county employee. That's what the DA said. I can't enforce it, you have to enforce it, you're the county administrator. And my position was, that's your building, you do all the other stuff associated with directing the business, supervising, evaluations, everything else, that gives you authority. And the response was, well, I can't fire him. Well, none of us can fire him. Only the three of you can ultimately fire somebody, and if it's after that 6-month probationary, it's with hearing, cause, all that process. But only you can do that. We can make recommendations to you, but I can't go terminate somebody tomorrow, as I understand it, under our policies and state statute.
Michael, remember, we as commissioners cannot fire anybody except people who are directly on us. We can only approve termination. And that's got to be done by the department head. And for the DA, regardless whether he's a state employee or not, he is a county department. And technically, under the law, he has the exclusive right to terminate an employee with our approval.
Yeah, but he can't do it on his own. So
No,
none of us
right.
can fire, technically fire
But
anybody.
he
without
needs to
that
start the
process.
process of deciding whether or not he wants to terminate for insubordination, bring that to us
Bring it to you.
for a hearing. So
And that's my understanding of the process as well. So
I think he needs to understand that he is the department head. It's not the administrative assistant, somebody up there is that.
Somebody has to be in charge. So,
I think Michael ought to continue to look at this, look at the policies and whatnot, and see what recommendations he wants to come back. I think we need another discussion. All right. Take a break then. All right, take a break. Oh, well, unless you, under the commissioner's comments, the only one I had was that we were talking about workshop for dealing with space that may be left with, what's left. I don't think we need a workshop. I think we, next meeting, we could just have an agenda item. And we've done some preliminary work, and I think maybe out of that, we can decide whether or not that's good enough, or we do need a workshop. So I'm asking to have it put on the agenda for next meeting. Sounds good. I know we-
And my only comment is, somehow we're gonna have to deal with this. In every budget is gonna be that, you know, for personnel, we need a plan of attack to get through that. You know,
I mean, the raises,
I just don't, you know, we need to, you know, do we look at salary information? You know, study information that's been done, but it keeps coming up every year. And it's gonna keep, you know, I just don't know, we need a plan of attack.
no, we should have an agenda item just for that, because it's not just comparing salaries with other counties and whatnot. It's a policy within the Hancock County as to how we're going to affect salaries every year. We're not gonna do a study every year.
No. But the allegation is that, you know, we've fallen out of sync so bad that, you know, we need to make up.
So let's have an agenda item to study exempt employee salaries and non-union employee salaries. Do that?
Michael, is that something that you were gonna?
So I mean, I guess just in terms of preparation, for that, though, what are you looking for?
Yeah, that's my question.
That's my question.
I think, Michael, that the discussion may preempt what study we want to do. And I don't think we're going to solve this. I think we're going to raise a bunch of issues that need to be looked at and understood. And so on. So,
You know, because it might work out that, you know, one department we're in sync and another one we're not, you know, because in the real world, you can't just apply one number to every job description.
if we have an agenda item on this, and we should soon, I guess. Can we take a break now? Let's take a break. All right. Motion first.
Yeah, so we're at item 16B. I'm gonna move to go in executive session permitted by Title I, 4056E for consultation with legal counsel concerning the legal rights and duties of the commission.
Second motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Now we're out of executive session.
Back in session, nothing to report from the executive session.
Hi there, yep.
Got a motion, Paul?
Yes, I'm gonna move to go in executive session as permitted by MRSA Title I, Section 4056C, acquisition of real property.
Second motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're back from executive session, nothing to report.
My question regarding the budgets is whether going forward I include for the payroll amounts. Now we have two expense sheets. Should I just continue with the 3.2 request as the, or should I continue with the requests that were put in by the IT and deeds department heads as their initial request amounts?
See, years ago, we used to have another column so that the initial discussion could reflect any discrepancy between the department and the commissioners. I mean, this is before your time. Was that several years ago? And we don't have that. See, we could,
You will as part of the process, because basically, up to this point,
That's right.
you haven't looked at it, it's the only thing we can give you, but we will expand that out to allow for the commissioners, once you make a decision on any of these,
the
to,
decision
Well,
to make sense to the BEC.
that, well, I mean,
That's right.
definitely before that, but I mean,
The column is there.
the
it's just-
column would be there, so if you say to us, this is pretty much the budget, except no X and Y, then we could expand that and fill that information in, correct?
Well, we will when it comes time to publish the commissioner's version. I think that's what you're saying is this, what you're seeing now is the initial
Because you
department
haven't
head.
acted on it.
It's actually the department head request and it seems like it should reflect what they want to request. And then for the commissioner's column, it will reflect what changes you guys want to make.
The problem is, as we plan it though, Monica, we put the 3.2 in there, so we had some sense of what 3.2 does to the whole budget. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
If we put 10% in for 3 departments and 3.2 for the others,
well, that will be your column though. That will be your commissioner's column, which will eventually become the BAC column.
right? But
So those columns are there, they're just not filled in yet.
I think we need to stay consistent with 3.2 for now.
let's,
Otherwise, you don't have a good yardstick. Right, do you agree or?
No, I feel like this initial request is the department head's request, and it should reflect what they want to request. And that the next round, the
Oh.
commissioner's round, will then reflect
I see your
the
point.
3.2,
Yes, I
so that
see.
you can see that difference as the,
I understand.
if you agree with me on that.
So arguably, when it goes to the BAC could see that
Right.
there was a difference. So
Right.
that that's not being hid or shielded or anything else.
Right,
You weren't necessarily in congruence from day one.
Yeah.
You know, you made a change and here's why, so.
Yeah, no, that,
if you're okay with that.
yeah, because this is their requests right
Basically,
now.
yes.
Right,
You know, and arguably, and I could say no to them, but I mean, up to this point, it seems to work better to, have them try to come in and be able to have that discussion with them to say, look, you're gonna need to be able to justify X, Y, and Z and be thinking about it.
now, if today though, one of the 3, by mutual agreement, we had changed their request, that change would have been under their department head's category, right? So they basically would have said, oh, I'm gonna change my request
yeah,
because I agree with your point. So, yeah.
yeah,
Well, and there's a couple that obviously we've got to update because they were,
yes, I will have to update them a little bit.
there'll
with a
be
couple
some
of-
changes in that.
Because there
first
were errors in the initial
Yeah,
submission.
And also, it kind of gets redundant to keep printing 2 sets of, of the-
No, that's sometimes confusing, which
Yeah.
we're looking at.
Well, and we also, I mean, you have to basically run 2 different spreadsheets too, so.
so, yeah, it's a lot more work. Thank you.
Move to adjourn.
Second motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.